Right, well, I think everyone in the room probably knows Roku, but they may not all be quite as clear on how far they've evolved from being a pure device business, really, into a fully fledged media company with content curation and aggregation and a growing sales division based out of New York and even an office here in the UK. And Yulia is the Director of International Content Distribution. So one of your roles is managing content owner partnerships or publisher partnerships internationally. So, you know, just tell us, first of all, why a content owner who isn't on Roku today should want to come on board and get on your platform.
So Roku was founded in 2002, actually, by Anthony Wood, who is one of the, actually the inventor of the DVR. And in 2008, we released the first player, which basically became our kind of strongest proposition. We later came out with sticks, and in 2015, Roku became an operating system within the TV sets. So the idea behind that Anthony Wood had from the beginning was that, you know, TV sets will be streamed. You know, all of our entertainment will be streamed. We're laser focused on that proposition. And what we're doing is basically we're open for pretty much any publisher to come in. Okay, so if you have passionate content, or you have news, or you have sports, we're there for you. We will deliver this content to the users around the world. So why to come into Roku today? There are three things which I would highlight. First, Roku is very easy to use. I don't know how many of you guys have this device at home. Obviously, in the US, we have, you know, a lot of households with the Roku device. It's really easy to use. You can give this as a gift to pretty much any friend of yours or your grandmother, and you can be confident that she will plug it in and she'll be able to figure out how to use it, which I think is a great advancement, you know, because digital products can be complicated sometimes. So ease of use is one. The second thing is that we do welcome pretty much any publisher. You know, we're a very friendly platform, and for the users, it's an ocean of content to choose from and to find something that you're truly interested in. And the last thing I would say is that it's a very cost-efficient platform. So that's what we strive to have in the marketplace. Again, in the United States, we have players and sticks. I believe in UK you can buy a player for probably like £25. So it's very affordable, and therefore our reach is quite wide. So for the publisher, again, to come in, you become the part of this family, and you have reach of all of these users in the particular market. So, so that's what we offer.
Okay, we'll talk about reach in a minute, but just at the end of that last panel, we started talking about data sharing and, you know, whether you should even allow yourself to be aggregated or not if you're a direct-to-consumer service. Where do you sit in data sharing? How generous are you with the sort of the data you share with the channel owners who are on your platform? Well,
if you're a channel owner and you're on Roku, obviously we share all the information that, you know, happens on the Roku platform. So you'll be able to see what's happening with regards to subscriptions, you know, or usage, you know, how many hours people are using in a particular market. So we share that because that's the data that the channel wants to see, and we're kind of open to that.
Okay. And in terms of your presence in Europe, you sell boxes via retail in the UK, France and Ireland. There's a 29 million global footprint, but you don't break out the European figures. But can you give us an idea of how much further you can reach into Europe?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, 29.1 million active accounts is not actually devices. I believe we have a lot more devices in the marketplace out there. People buy sticks and players and TV sets, you know, but the active account could be one, let's say, per household. So the way we define it is the active account is the account which accesses the service in the last 30 days. You know, so that's a pretty, I would say, conservative number. With regards to Europe, you know, international is our focus. You know, we have outlined international as one of our 5 strategic goals this year and going forward. So we're actively looking into, you know, going outside of the US in the next year or two. So that's the plan. And Europe is part of international, so that's why we're here.
So we should see a wider footprint in terms of device availability and homes that can get Roku platform.
We're looking at all the opportunities, of course. Yeah, we have a wonderful product that has been proven in many markets. We're in more than 20 markets already. So we're definitely looking at opportunities, yes.
Okay. Now, in the US, you've separated the Roku OS from your devices. So that's now available on smart TVs as well.
Exactly, yeah.
And there's quite a lot of them. So is that something that could happen in Europe to get you into more markets?
It could happen anywhere in the world. You know, I actually believe that the users are generally the same. It doesn't matter in which part of the world. If you have an easy UI that people can navigate, then it doesn't matter where you are. So the US model has been proven pretty successful. And the number that you guys probably have heard, in the US in the first quarter of this year, a third of the TV sets sold have been sold with the Roku operating system. So that's pretty interesting number, right? It's a huge success for us, and we work with about 11 manufacturers of the TV sets. You know, so that's our kind of success story. They love Roku operating system, you know, and the consumers love it because, again, it's seamless transition from your TV set and, let's say, you know, the bedroom to the stick that you plugged in into the older TV sets in the living room or kids' room, you know. So that's the benefit of having that flow between all the devices.
Okay, and in the UK, even the free-to-air platforms, sort of FreeSat and Freeview, they've got lots of apps in the back end. Well, not lots, but they've got the big SVOD apps and the broadcaster VOD, which is obviously crucial. So why do users need to go into a Roku box? Why do you need to switch from HDMI 1? I mean, what's there that will attract more users onto your platform?
I think the contemporary user is all about the choice. Right, so that's the offer that we provide in OTT space. You can go into Roku and not only find your usual suspects, right, the channels that you see on regular TV, but you also can find all this passionate content that, you know, Simon was talking about, and we do find that trend, you know, pretty strong, that people will definitely install the usual apps, you know, that they like, including Netflix and BBC and so on, but there will be additional content that, you know, everybody has in their heart and they will follow and they would love to have it. So that's the premise. And again, I think the new generation and where we're going into is asking for that choice, and that we're going to give them.
Okay. I was looking yesterday at some of the ones that are forthcoming, where you've got previews of what's to come. There was Puppies and Kittens channel, and Con TV, which is Comic-Con, all the comic magazine stuff that have big conferences.
All colors.
All their content.
Yes, everything.
Okay. Now, I presume there's not much exclusivity in that kind of end of the market, but do you have plans for originals, for example? I mean, is Roku going to play the same game as Amazon or Netflix in that department?
No, we don't have those plans. You know, our concept is that we are neutral content kind of provider, so to speak. We bring content into our platform, and that's what we're, you know, famous for, and that's our our proposition to the market. We don't play favorites. We're not going to develop anything on our own. As a matter of fact, we're open to everybody else, regardless of how small you are, and niche you are, or big you are. We're there for you. So that's our idea.
Okay, so you've got me on the platform, and I'm watching. For a content owner, what else can you offer me that would make it compelling for me to be on your platform?
As a publisher?
As a publisher.
So I found this very kind of interesting and very differentiating, that Roku works a lot on something that we call audience development. So in case if you do bring your content, your app onto Roku, we don't just plug you in and say, okay, now you survive in all these thousands of apps. We actually allow you to kind of manage your presence. And there's so many tools that we have developed over the last few years. So one of them, for example, is initial channel setup. The users who just buy a device, they have an opportunity to select the right channels, and we can offer this to the publisher and say, okay, you can be placed, you know, in the kind of top of those apps. So that's number one. So the first time that user is opening the Roku and registering the account, all of a sudden they see maybe 5, 10, 20 apps out of thousands right placed in front of that person. The other thing that we do is that if you're already a user of Roku, and let's say the new publisher came in, we offer tools such as banners. Okay, so there's a banner on the UI that is populated constantly with new content. There's screensavers. There are all kinds of tools like buttons. You know, we're trying to use the UI as an opportunity to refresh the content offering and communicate to the consumer about that new channel coming in. So we're very serious about this. And, you know, I have been with Roku for 4 months, just so you guys know. I'm very fresh. But what I've seen is that Roku is very serious about welcoming the new publishers and working with them, providing all those tools. So that's very refreshing, actually.
Okay, and Matthew at Ovum just gave us some nice figures about the potential for ad growth and subscription growth and what we could maybe achieve if they're combined. I mean, your platform has all the monetization models on it. Where do you think the balance will be in future between paid and advertising? Because when premium videos first started streaming, there was talk about subscription taking over, the actual amount, the volume of revenue for the market coming from advertising decreasing. I mean, do you see that, or do you think it would pretty much reflect the original broadcast world eventually?
Well, the good news for Roku is that we're happy with either way. I mean, we're happy with subscription growing and AVOD growing. We're there for everybody. So I think there's a place for coexistence for both models. And we see, depending on the market development, the subscription, which are stronger sometimes, and AVOD content comes in and takes higher share. We work with everybody. So again, our idea is that we're a neutral platform which offers as wide content as possible to the consumers and to the publisher ability to monetize in the right way. So for subscriptions, for example, the key thing which I will say is that, how the billing is done. So I don't know if you guys worked on the subject specifically, but I find it pretty interesting that billing and the payment mechanisms affect the success rate of the subscriptions. And we are very interested in getting that flow to as easy as possible for the consumer, so we don't lose the subscribers along the way. For the AVOD is the other thing. There's no subscription, but its ability to use the right ad tools, okay? The ability to actually, bring as much advertising as possible and to do it in the right way, in a smart way. So there are different tools for each of them, but again, we're happy with both models to coexist.
Can you help people mix both in the same content app, if you call it that? So
yes.
Some free with advertising and also subscription,
yes.
all in the same channel?
And I would say I've seen actually the development in that direction. You're absolutely right, that the people will start with, oh, I'm just a subscription, or I'm just AVOD, and then the AVOD guy will say, well, I want to have something premium. I want to launch like subscription in addition to the AVOD. So we're there to kind of enable both and at the same time. So yes, we've seen those apps coming up more and more, which combine.
So there's a trend towards people doing both,
yep.
Sort of the hybrid within the hybrid, if you like. Yeah, okay. And in terms of advertising, you have advertising sales, so you can help sell the advertising for a content owner. And how does that happen? Do you do it directly as a sales team, or is it programmatic?
We have both. So we do have ad sales teams in New York. We work for Canada and also in UK. So we use the direct ad sales. We work with advertisers and ad agencies directly because we know our platform the best, obviously. So we go directly to them and we explain all the benefits of bringing their ad dollars to the Roku platform. And then we have programmatic as well. Yeah. So pretty much, this concept is, I guess, relatively new to Roku. It's just been a few years, but it's been probably the highest growing, area in terms of the people that we hire, expertise that we bring, and amount of attention that it gets. So it's very exciting.
Okay. And in terms of the inventory that I could buy, what are the opportunities? Is it mainly pre-roll and mid-roll?
Oh, there's a bunch, and constantly developing. There is a mid-roll, there is pre-roll. Also, I mentioned the screensaver, for example. Again, there's a UI. We have a lovely screensaver, and there's a little video thing, that you can click and that, can be used as well. There is a wallpaper, for example, wallpaper that's behind the UI, and that's available. But the team is constantly improving things, right? So they're adding like little buttons, where, again, it's actionable. So you can see something and you can click. There are various things, and again, they're constantly improving what we can offer to the advertisers to make it more kind of live and fresh.
Okay. And you've got first-party data from everyone that signs up, so in terms of
yes.
targeting, you know a reasonable amount about them already.
We do. We see the viewing patterns, and that's the exciting bit, is that to be able to see what people are viewing in aggregate in terms of different genres and markets and time and so on. So that's the exciting part. That's the most probably appealing, for the advertisers.
Okay, and the business model, is that a revenue share or an inventory share? How's that work?
So if you're an SVOD guy, then it will be a revenue share. So we take a cut. We're not different from other platforms. And then if it's advertising, we call it inventory split. So we take inventory split from you guys, and then we sell, our portion, and you can sell yours. And then the other option is when we wrap you 100%. So we take your inventory, we wrap it, and then we, pay back the revenue share from that ad sales.
Okay. And just before I open up to audience questions, tell us how we get published. What are the options to actually get the content onto Roku?
Pretty much anyone can do it. You can leave the room today and go onto the Roku.com, and there'll be ways to do that. It's pretty easy, actually. But there are really two ways. If you're a business that wants to be on Roku, we would recommend two ways. One is to develop your own app. So there's a Roku SDK, software development kit that is available. People do it in kind of two ways. They either hire a developer, a full-fledged company that does it for a living, or you can do it inside the house and do it on your own. Obviously, the bigger the guy is, the more internal development we see, but we work with anyone. The second way to do it is what we call direct publishing. So we take your feed, we plug it into the little bit more standardized kind of app, and then off it goes. So that's probably the fastest. The second way is also gives you access to all the latest kind of software updates. It has all the right bells and whistles that we, Roku, kind of constantly update. So that's a good way to be there. Now, the direct publishing route works for the AVOD business. So that's what you can do pretty much, again, as I said, tomorrow. That's a pretty easy thing to do. So two ways, again, app development on your own, and then the direct publishing for the AVOD business.
Okay. Have we got any questions from the audience? Okay, gentlemen, straight down there.
Quick question. I think Roku, as you point out, has been one of the very early innovators and especially has taken a lot of market share in North America for sure. But we're now starting to see a lot of competition, particularly coming from Google with their Android TV platform going on to smart TVs, and also from Amazon, particularly with Fire Sticks, and that's probably the fastest growing device, at least in the US market. So could you talk a little bit about how you see the competition and how you expect Roku to continue to differentiate over time in that more competitive environment?
It's a good question. And I think the answer to this goes back to my point about Anthony Wood, is that his vision has been about all the TV sets being streamed. Right? He has been really focused on this idea, and the whole company is focused on this. We don't really have any other business to support us, to back us up, or to be interested in developing. It's not a sidekick for us. It is our business. We are 100% dedicated to streaming devices and definitely streaming the TV sets. So that's what differentiates us. There is a competition, obviously, but for other guys, it could be something that they started doing on the side, and they got interested in this. We spend enormous amount of time and energy on engineering efforts, on the product, on the UI. So this is our core business, and that's why it shows in the results that we have been seeing lately, that consumers absolutely love what we do. So that's the benefit of being laser focused on one thing.
Okay, I've got time for one more quick question. Okay, gentleman here. We need a fairly quick answer to this one, about a minute left.
Okay, I'll try.
Hi there. Do you have any plans to launch into Central and Eastern Europe, particularly Hungary?
We have plans for the international overall, generally. We're looking at pretty much every region.
Fine, okay, I'll speak to you later.
That was short.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's all time we've got. So thank you very much, Yulia. Lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.